Hey everybody, thanks for clicking on Bad Anime today. I just wanted to let you know before we get started that I, John, made a huge mistake. Accidentally recorded my microphone, not as my microphone, but through my goddamn computer speakers, and it sounds like garbage. Kind of like a Zoom call from the depths of Satan's asshole. So I'm just preparing you because my half of it sounds terrible. Rob sounds good. He sounds like an angel, so enjoy that. But me, I sound pretty bad. I put a hell of a lot of plugins though, so it sounds a little better than it would normally. But who cares? Let's start the show. I'm terrible.
It's bad. Anime.
Hello everybody, my name is John.
And I'm Rob.
And this is Bad Anime, the podcast where we decide, is this anime bad? Well, today we decided that we've been watching a lot of things that aren't very long. So we decided, fuck that. Let's watch a really long thing. Because we like that. Long-ish. Long, pretty long for us. I feel like we do one of these like 24, 25, 26 episode series.
Yeah, like 4, 5, 6 inches. Wait, what are we talking about?
Yeah, right. Whoa.
Was that excitement or just fear? You're good?
Reggie.
Reggie? Rick's inches Reggie.
It sounds like you said, like Zoink Scoob, who's Rick?
Rick roll, Reggie. Rick roll. Never gonna give you.
Great start to the pod today.
Perfect, yeah. Clearly.
We are booming on a Thursday night. It is a night that we don't record this often. We usually, Rob's on vacation right now, so we don't really record this on the week time, but this is an interesting time period for us. We've done this once or twice, and it's always fun.
Yeah, whenever I'm on vacation from the day job, Thursday nights just kind of conveniently wind up being our recording night, which is fine by me, dude. So
it's whatever.
It's it was good
because it's a Thursday.
Because then I realized, because it was funny. It was Wednesday. Yesterday was Wednesday, and I said, "Huh."
That happens on Thursdays.
Yes, it's like clockwork. And also like clockwork, I'm like, oh yeah, I haven't watched Akame Ga Kill yet, so let me fucking do that. That's what we're talking about today.
I'm so happy. We were talking before the show, but I'm so happy that you have finished it very recently because I watched this. I think I watched it like in about 2 weeks, but it was maybe a while ago, maybe like 2 or 3 weeks ago. I finished it officially.
Okay.
So I remember a lot of it, but I'm happy that you're here because you legitimately just finished this today. So that would really help us along the way.
All I have to do is say Lance Archer, and you know how the show ends, because everybody dies.
That's, oh my God. You know what was so funny? I was in my apartment last night.
Right.
As I am at nighttime. And I decided, and I was walking. Right. I sleep there sometimes, and I was pacing around.
You don't sleep.
No. You're right, I don't. I was
you
in
say
my
that
apartment.
as you rub your eyes and the bags under them. It's like,
I look horrible.
No, you don't.
But
you look a little tired.
Thanks, Sailor. It's been a long day. But I was in my apartment last night, and I was like, oh, you know what would be funny if I just sang the Lance Archer's theme song to Rob the second that the podcast started. And that thought didn't come back to me, and so I'm happy that you did it. And I'm happy that we both thought of it.
Well, unfortunately, I kind of knew this going in that everyone was going to die.
Yeah.
Because that's the one thing I kept hearing about the show for years since it came out.
Oh, so you've heard that about the show before.
Oh, okay. Yeah, a bunch. A bunch of... Even when I started, even like around the time I was telling people I was starting an anime podcast, this would be a year and change ago now, people have telling me, do Akame Ga Kill. I'm like, is it that bad? And they're like, yeah. I'm like, boy, this must be one we have to save.
Huh. That's fascinating because like the reason I selected it this time around was because, you know, on a lot of our Instagram reels and stuff, we have people commenting like, oh, you think that's bad? You
Watch
should see
Akame
Ga Kill. And I was like, well, I mean, yeah, we will. And then we did.
I need to pull up some of the text message I was sending you during this because I sent you
Yes.
I sent
you sent me a plethora of texts.
I sent you a few more than average. Hold on. Well, actually, let me scroll past the text about Dragon Age Origins because there's a lot.
Okay, great. There's a lot of. I mean, the ancient rite of conscription writes itself, but you know.
Andraste's blood. Where the hell are these messages? Hold on one second. Yeah, I was a lot of my vacation has been spent so far playing Dragon Age Origins, and
which is fantastic, which is also one of my favorite video games of all time.
But I'm finally being a big boy and playing it on normal, because I was always playing it on casual because the combat got too hard for my pea brain. But no, I'm actually playing it on normal. I'm around 9 hours in. I just beat the boss character right before you start the gauntlet to go get the Urn of Sacred Ashes. There's like those cultists.
Yeah.
And there's the boss fight where you can either just kill him or like do the weird shit and corrupt the urn.
Right.
This is one of those playthroughs where I'm trying to romance Liliana, so I can't corrupt the urn or else she'll leave my party.
That's right, because she is a bard with standards.
Yes, and
a huge rack.
Every female character in Dragon Age is
every one of them.
Comically well endowed.
Every single, just like anime.
Flemeth, the ancient witch of the wild, has two rockin' knockers, and I'm like, why, Dragon Age?
Why does the ancient witch of the wild have this shit? I know she's wild, but goddamn.
Yep. My first text you about Akame Ga Kill to be relevant again to what the hell we're talking about.
All right, that's what we're watching.
Yes. To quote me exactly was, a couple episodes into Akame. So far, it just seems like every anime ever, because it really was.
Yeah.
I mean, wow, I texted you a lot more about Dragon Age than I realized.
You did. We've been talking about Dragon Age quite a lot over text. And then every once in a while, you'd be like, yeah, Dragon Age. By the way, like, why does everybody hate this show?
Well, because that's the thing. When it first began, I was expecting to see something, because when I first think bad, I'm like, okay, technically maybe the voice acting's bad, maybe something's wrong with the sound design or the visuals. No, everything from a technical standpoint, I mean, it wasn't amazing, but like not bad by any means.
From a technical standpoint, it was all pretty fine. Like there was really no big issue there. I honestly, on that subject, I think we could just come out and say it right now. I really struggled to find the why is this horrible angle. Like I never really got. I mean, there were parts that I was like, yeah, that's a questionable decision. And yeah, the dialogue here is really fucking stupid. But overall, I came out of it and I was like, I think I liked it more than I didn't like it.
Yeah, honestly, a lot of my problems with the show just involve how generic it is, not how bad it is. I mean, this show...
It's very generic, yeah.
It is, because in the beginning of the show, we meet Tatsumi, who's our protagonist, right? He's the plucky kid from the country trying to go to the capital of this fantasy world because he wants to bring back a bunch of money to his village.
Yeah.
He leaves with 2 other kids.
I can name like 5 other animes with that exact plot. Yeah.
Oh, there's more.
Oh, yeah. There's many more. I mean, at first, like, this show really struck me as Black Clover because it's legitimately the same fucking thing. Like, he leaves his village that's very poor, and he's like, I'm going to go to the big magic city in the middle, and then become something of myself, become a wizard or like a soldier, and then send money back home so that my family can eat something other than potatoes.
Yeah, you get a little bit of Demon Slayer in there as well with like the poor kid from the village, on the mythical quest. That's a very general comparison, but I have 100 more. I remember texting. At one point, I texted you like in quotes to simulate like the character in the show going, "People are bad," because of course when they get to the capital, fucked up shit starts happening immediately.
Yep.
Because Tatsumi is taken in for the night by like this noble family. Then these assassins show up, the Night Raid as they're called, group of assassins, and they say, "Oh, you think these people are good?" They lead them to the basement of this mansion, where there's just a bunch of corpses because like the whole family loves just torturing travelers who come in from the countryside and killing them.
Yeah, and 2 of those people are Tatsumi's friends that came first to the capital. And he was following them, and he came in.
I know
and he was
it was
like,
supposed to be very
"I'm looking to find
dramatic,
my friends."
But like I started laughing. I'm like, wow, this show's just diving in with like the people in authority are bad.
Yeah, like, oh no, who could have foreseen this?
Zoinks Scoop. Oh,
Ruh-roh Raggy.
Yeah, so we immediately get we got a great indication early on of the tone of the show and what it's going to be, because there is like typical anime zaniness where people get like very cartoony faces. They have the Warner Brothers style welts on the head sometimes during comedy action scenes. So I text you, people are bad, but our cast is quirky.
Yeah, I mean, that theme was just so classic of like, yeah, people are bad, but we're also bad, but in a good way, kind of.
Oh yeah, no, it's the fucking Devilman thing where it's just like,
Yeah,
everyone's
right.
got
Like,
a little bit of evil. Yeah.
who's the real evil? You kill people, we kill people, everybody kill people. Like it's the same.
Yeah, and then you
We're
get
all
into the
same.
politics of the show because this Night Raid is we learn Night Raid's a kind of like a subset of the Revolutionary Army who's trying to take down this corrupt empire who runs the capital.
Right.
The minister of who runs the empire is just like this ugly bastard from Japanese porn. I mean, he's just a fat gluttonous slob who loves torturing and killing people to a fetishistic level. I'm like, good depth to your villain, sure. Let's have a 360 villain here.
His name is also Honest.
Yeah,
really
which I mean, that's
that's
the writer going to Google Translate and trying to find like a good sounding English word that is contradictory to the character.
That's like the naming the character of redo of Healer Happy.
Exactly.
Like, we get it.
Exactly.
We get it. They're not that.
Or naming Tatsumi interesting. Yep. Actually, I gotta give Tatsumi a little credit here because he actually did have an arc. Because I'm lucky because I watched this in such a condensed time frame that in the beginning he was so plucky and happy-go-lucky and like trying to find the good in the world. Then he's so beaten and like beaten down and dejected by the end of it. He's just a miserable bastard. I'm like, cool. I'd work with this.
It was some kind of trajectory. It was minimal, but it was some kind of trajectory.
I mean, honestly, but compared to other shows we watched, I'm glad we got something.
I mean, there's something out of there. I think every character kind of had a little something, which was good. It was like you what you were saying, like the quirky cast. Like Akame is the main character, but
not really. She's the mascot hot character, while the whole story is really about Tatsumi. But Akame is like, she's the one who kind of is dressed like almost vaguely schoolgirlish, but she's an assassin.
Yes, with like a red tie and stuff.
Exactly.
It's like she's like in a school uniform, essentially.
Exactly. And then you have the blonde-haired girl who reminds me a lot of the redheaded chick from Gurren Lagann in terms of appearance. Like, you know.
Oh yeah.
Leone, I think is the name of the girl.
Yeah.
I noticed. I laughed immediately because she's voiced by Allison Keith, who did.
Yes.
Yes,
I caught that too. I was like, oh my god, I know that voice.
Yeah. So you get some classic Masato in there, which I love.
It was very good. That rasp, you know.
Yep.
Yeah.
The quirky rasp and like the weird high pitched thing she does like at certain points. It's just such a unique voice, and she's a very talented actress. So anytime Leona came on screen, I was biased. I'm like, yay, Allison, just talk, just make this scene yours.
Say things to me, and then the rest of the Night Raid, you have Mine, who's like the annoying character.
Well, yeah, she's the pink-haired, flat-chested one who was like pretty stock in anime for a while.
Yes,
I'm reminded a lot of Burn Up.
Yeah, very much Burn Up.
But this one was more bratty than any of the.
A little more like prissy, bratty, and then you had Lubbock, who like I cannot describe this man's character if I tried.
Oh, the one. Oh, the one with the green
hair. Yeah, dude with green hair.
He had some. He was just cool because of his weapon, like the strings.
Yeah, the threads. That was pretty cool.
I found those pretty cool. In terms of characters, he was just mad that Tatsumi was there and getting all the attention from the woman.
Pretty much, and he really likes the head of the Night Raid, who was
what was her name? Gray hair one. It started with an N and it was pretty long.
Yeah, I know. It started with an N and there's a J in there.
Gray hair.
Whatever.
Yeah, gray hair. I mean, and gray hair, she really didn't do much. She was just there to be like kind of drop that MILF mommy energy. That was her only kind of point.
Yeah, she's like Najinda.
Najinda, okay.
Yeah, she's just like mommy boss energy, Rhea Ripley, like I'm your mommy kind of energy.
Yeah, and again, going back to Burn Up, she's the character from W. Was it Misaki? No. Fuck it. I don't know. I don't remember.
Yeah, whatever.
Anyway, the purple haired one in Burn Up W is the same kind of vibe. She just kind of stand there going, "Yep, we got to beat the Empire," and they're like, "Cool, tell us what to do." And it's like, "Sure, here's a bunch of lore you're gonna forget about." It's like, "Yeah, thank you." Then we have Shell at one point, who is a purple haired female who looked like she was gonna have a cool little character arc, but then she died in like the first 6 episodes.
She was the first to die. Yeah, she was the first out of everybody. And then we have
okay, we'll get to her in a second because she was a harbinger of things to come. Then we had the gay one.
Bulat.
Bulat.
Bulat was my favorite. God,
Oh,
it
I
was
know.
so
we
funny
haven't talked about the show,
because
but I know.
it was so funny because Tatsumi like gets in there. He's like, "Oh my God, who's this huge dude?" And then Bulat just turns around and he's like, "I'm gay."
Well, no, it wasn't even him. It was one of the other characters who went, "Yeah, he's gay," and Bulat's like, "Yes, I am."
That's right. Tatsumi, come here. Let's spar.
And so that was kind of nice to have because it was
just a cool ripped gay dude.
Yeah, that's the thing.
In this show,
him being gay had actually very little to do with his personality. It only like they kind of forgot he was gay a few times. They did. It felt like they only had that to add some spice between the scenes with him and Tatsumi together.
I think they only had him being gay so that Tatsumi's manliness was not threatened among like the harem of women.
Okay,
I believe. I think at least from a writing standpoint, they're like, oh, they want like Tatsumi to be like the point of interest over here. Yeah. Like if you make this strong, cool guy, maybe other characters might like him. And you got to make Tatsumi.
Then they had the other strong dude later in the show.
Who was that? Oh, but he was a sacred, not a sacred gear.
Yes, I sent you this text too.
Yeah.
He was
Imperial Arms.
Imperial Arms, which is exactly it's this show's version of the Sacred Gear, Millennium Items, fucking X Arms.
Oh my God, what's the name of the items in Shell and Showdown?
I don't remember.
I really gotta remember that. Shengong Wu. The Shengong Wu.
Yeah, so he that's our like MacGuffin magical item and weapon that everyone gets throughout the show. There's 48 of them. I use X-Arm again because I just think of the number thing.
Yeah, the number thing, you can't really keep track of them. Everybody they fight has a different one.
Yeah.
It's like they kind of make it out in the beginning like, oh, it's like really rare and really hard to get one. But every fight they have, everybody has one.
Exactly.
Like, okay, well, I mean, there are 48. Like it's a lot.
Yeah.
It's not like there are very few of them.
Exactly.
So everybody gets one usually.
Yeah, everyone got one. Basically, by the end of the show, everyone had one.
Yeah.
Or some people had more than one even at one point. They were all jumping around.
Definitely.
And they range wildly because even though like the universe here is a little weird they built because it's very heavily medieval inspired, but at the same time people are just like have bazookas and machine guns, and I'm just like, okay.
Oh yeah, that's right. That happens at a lot. Like that happened in Naruto a lot too. Because when they were like, oh yeah, we're gonna have the Chunin exams, like there are fights with like ninjas fighting ninjas. Yep. We're gonna display the results on a screen.
Yeah.
It's like what?
I mean,
where are the engineers?
Yeah, Japanese media's been doing that forever. I mean, I think the first example I can think of personally was probably in the 60s with Mass Ninja Akakage was probably the first one. That was in the 60s. They had like a sci-fi ninja guy. So I mean, this is just
cool.
Them mixing either traditional Japanese or European influences. Vampire Hunter D, same fucking thing.
Right. With that like fucking tank that those guys had.
Yeah, now I'm just thinking about Vampire Hunter D. Kind of want to talk about that instead. Anyway. Hand. In terms of Night Raid, I'm trying to think. Are we forgetting anyone from Night Raid? I think. Well, that's what we got first. But then other people join. We have Chelsea. We'll talk about all the points she didn't have.
Right.
Then
she had one. She had one big point though.
I mean, she had the pointy needles.
The pointy needle.
Well, then she killed one of my favorite characters, and I'm like, oh damn it.
Who did she kill?
Bowles. When we get to the
Bowles. Yeah. Oh yeah, Bowles was great. Yeah, because we do have the other side of them basically. So I feel like the first maybe 6 or 7 episodes, they're kind of just figuring out what, like, you as a viewer are trying to figure out, all right, what's Night Raid? Who are all these characters? Blah, blah, blah. Like, what's their goal?
And they're doing like the thing I always talk about, they love doing in Japanese media, having like a couple of one-off episodes in the beginning so you get used to the characters and how like the world's going to work, kind of like laying your groundwork. Because in the beginning, it's a bunch of one-off assignments that Night Raid gets, and you get to learn through the characters and see how they interact with each other. But then, I think they're called the Jaegers.
Jaegers.
Yep.
Yeah.
That was the basically the villainous faction who worked for the Empire.
Mm-hmm.
And
they're like a small formed group of elite warriors designed to combat Night Raid, essentially. Exactly. So it's basically Night Raid, but on the other side. It's basically like these are the rowdy rough boys to the Powerpuff Girls. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And apparently in the manga, there's actually a third group, but we're not going to talk about that.
I actually read. No, I didn't read the manga. I'm not crazy, but I read I read like the synopsis for the manga actually, and a couple things are different in there. Like especially the ending is way different.
Well, because this came out like 2 years before the manga actually finished. So
yeah, it was
you
early.
can tell, like, the anime said, yeah, we're not gonna wait. We're just gonna.
They took some liberties. They Game of Thrones did a bit at the end.
They totally Thrones did. That's actually I was talking to my brother about it today. He was asking me what I watched today, and I told him it's like, yeah, basically it's the Thrones scenario where the showrunners must have been like, fuck, let's just kill everybody.
Let's just come up with something, and they did
something.
And they did it.
I mean, they did it. I mean, and I had much crap that it gives a show. So being like, but that was the first thing I noticed is how generic it was with the setup, with like the world, some of the characters, some of the designs. So far, things are pretty boilerplate. That being said, I've been shitting on the show a lot, but when it comes to the Jaegers, I enjoyed a few of them. They're the characters I found infinitely more interesting. Her name, Silverhair, Espen.
Esdeath?
Esdeath, yep.
Yes, the leader of the Jaegers and also number one mommy in my heart. Yeah, absolutely.
Oh my god. Once her
best character.
Yeah. I mean,
best character by distance.
At first it was funny because her whole gimmick is like she's a ruthless, everyone, like, basically a lot of villains in the show are psychopaths. Right. And they kind of play up on her a little bit, that she's crazy. There are other characters way crazier than her. But through all the war, death, and destruction, she eventually does want to find love. That's what she decided. And then she gave, like, the minister and emperor a list for her ideal match. And the both of them, like, because the emperor's still around, but he's like a child.
Right.
So the minister is the actual one running the government, and the emperor just occasionally says things to keep the audience entertained, I guess. Him and the minister look at Esdeath's list of qualities she wants in a candidate, and they're like, how the fuck are we gonna find someone like this? And as she keeps mentioning them, like, someone, someone who can fight, someone with an innocent smile, someone younger she can dominate, I'm like, okay, she's gonna find Tatsumi somehow.
That was my favorite part of the whole thing. They were like, oh yeah, like strong-willed, somebody shorter than you that you can also dominate. Where are we going to find somebody like that? Next episode, Tatsumi joins a tournament in the royal city for some reason. Wins the tournament.
Money.
Money, yeah. And he wants to make some cash. He wins it, and then Esdeath is like, that's my husband. That man is the man that I love.
She immediately goes down to the center of the arena and is like, what is your name? Clearly, legitimately fawning over him. And then she puts a collar and chain around his neck and drags him out. But the thing is, as this goes on, I mean, it's a totally one-sided thing. It's totally just her affections.
Yeah.
But, like, it slowly becomes more and more genuine. Like, her legitimate infatuation and admiration for this boy. And I say boy, they're probably around the same age. I don't know. She's definitely older, but...
Yeah.
But who cares?
It's interesting because... you're right. A lot of other characters in this show and a lot of shows, a lot of villain characters are very just like, oh, she's crazy.
Yes.
She's just crazy. She's insane and she's evil. And that's all. And she, Esdeath, actually, I think got the most important character arc of the show. When she revealed that, she's capable of loving somebody and she's capable of having these feelings and potentially capable of changing. But, at the end, as we saw, she just decided not to and remain
and she
who
has a
she
big
was.
problem with the weak. She despises people who are weaker than her.
We got her backstory where her entire family village was killed by people stronger than her, and her dad's dying words to her was, don't be weak. Be strong so that you can't be like me. And I was like, God damn.
That's
so
the
she
thing.
Just been,
the villains here the villains here at some points got more development than our main cast. And
they did.
Which, again, if this show was called Jaegers and it was about them instead, I'd be probably a lot happier. So
I think I would be. I think, what my ideal scenario would have been?
What's up?
I would have appreciated the show to be about Esdeath.
Yes.
Much more so. And her creating this faction and stuff like that. Because they were actually the most interesting characters of the show. Like you mentioned Bowles before, who was just a fantastic character because he's this guy with like this he's got a mask on, he's got like the GIMP outfit kind of.
Yeah, kind of like a GIMP mask, but it's like beige, which I found funny.
And he basically just incinerates people for fun and for work.
Yeah.
But he has like a really like hot wife and like a really cute daughter, and he's like the nicest guy, and he cooks for everybody. And
he's like shy.
It's an amazing character.
Because the introduction was great because the character Wave, he's basically a foil to Tatsumi. kid from the
Wave.
countryside, but instead of going to fight, instead of trying to make money, he's going to fight for the Empire. So he's
And
totally
his hair is blue.
Because if he was green, he would die.
Yes, that's correct.
I feel like I made this joke a few times now on the show.
Oh God, I'm wearing green right now. Oh no, what do I do?
But my room's blue. You're good.
Oh God.
So were you choking or climaxing?
I think it's potential to do both, right? You can do that.
Oh, absolutely.
Right. Autoerotic asphyxiation.
You just need a partner who understands you.
Yeah. Aw,
Sweet.
you understand me. Thanks, buddy.
I got you. Now come here so I can choke you. Anyway.
Wave.
Wave, like I said, Tatsumi's foil came in, and once he he got to the room they're all supposed to meet in, he saw Bowles and was terrified. But then afterwards, Bowl got green tea for everyone, and Bowles he's holding the tray like a waiter would. He's like, "Hey, I'm really sorry about earlier. I'm just kind of shy. I didn't mean to scare you like that." But it's genuine. I said a little creepy right there, but no, Bowles was like, "Yeah, I'm just sorry, bro." And we're like, "Who are you?" And they talked about him he's like about him being a good guy. He's like, "Well, I'm not really that good of a person. I burned down a lot of villages." And it's like, what?
What is this?
It's like, I gotta keep my family fed. I'm like, someone doing horrible things, but for good reasons. That just creates a very interesting philosophical debate.
I was sadder when people from the Jaegers died more than people from the Night Raid.
And I'm just so mad that Chelsea was the one who killed Bowles, because Chelsea, the later edition of Night Raid, there's 2 later ones in the series. Chelsea was fucking pointless. I mean,
she was incredibly pointless. She did not serve any purpose. She was from, I think as they call it, Central, the Revolutionary Central headquarters, and she came out to help Night Raid, and her Imperial Arms was a literal makeup kit, and she could just make herself look like anybody.
Yeah, but she's basically like a shapeshifter type thing.
And she made herself look like a little girl so that Bowles would help her.
Yeah,
because Bowles is a good guy, and then she stabbed him.
Yeah, and she tried to turn around being like, "I used the face of one of the people you burned down in the village." And Bowles is like, "This is my redemption." I'm like, you made him cooler, show.
It's made him better. It made me like him more. And he's dead.
And now he's dead. And then, I'm trying to think. When it comes to Jaeger, we also had the blonde one, Run, who...
who was she? I forget.
He?
Oh, yeah. That guy, he was kind of shifty for most of the show.
Yeah.
And then at the end, he was like, I'm really a revolutionary. I'm not really about the Jaegers, but I will still fight the Night Raid. And I'm like, why?
Yeah, honestly, I got a little jumbled by
really
then when that happened, and I stopped caring, so I didn't really take any notes from right there when it came
he didn't matter. Let's just say that.
No,
he did not matter.
And then also on the I guess you could say the other biggest character as part of the Jaegers was Kurome? Was that
Kurame?
her?
Yeah.
Kurame. Yeah, Akame's sister.
Yes, that's right.
And of course, they go into the backstory. They're both trained to be elite assassins for the Empire. Akame realized, you know what, this Empire sucks, making me kill all these people. I'm gonna solve this by going out and killing more people.
Exactly.
And the sister's like, why are you doing this? And Akame's like, I don't know. Because the minister's bad.
I don't know. There's something about Akame knowing the truth about the Empire, even though I guess I didn't see her unveil the truth about the Empire. And then Kurame being like, but I want to work for the Empire because they're good. And Akame is like, no, I'll tell you what's good. Murdering people on your own freelance rate. Much better. The full-time work they give you, the benefits, I know they're good, but just go freelance, girl. Trust me.
Yeah, this is
Kurame
did. For independent contracting. This was a weird propaganda of a film. Sorry, of a show.
And then, but what I didn't understand is that they each understand each other's position. I didn't really get the idea that they want to kill each other, because both of them wanted to kill the other one.
Yes.
Akame was like, "Oh, can't wait to see Kurame. Maybe we could find out
who's better,
who kills who." And then Kurame is like, "Yeah, I would love to kill my sister. I don't understand why. You were separated at a young age. You've lived apart for so long. Would you just be happy to see them? It was just really weird to me. There was a weird stretch.
How that happened.
I
think the younger sister did have a thing where she felt abandoned by Akame.
Yeah.
So I think it was kind of explained, maybe not particularly well, because let's face it, the ending was so rushed, which I believe is why people hate the show so much. Is because they felt it was rushed, the ending, and everyone dies. What the fuck? I'm like, it's anime. You know, it
Yeah,
happens
it's just what
sometimes.
happens.
Yeah, it
That's
happens
right.
sometimes, and I kind of prefer it that way. It makes it way more fucking interesting. Well,
It does.
what were we watching recently that Oh, fucking Princess Mononoke. When we watched that and no one died, I'm like,
Oh yeah.
This means nothing to me now.
What were the stakes?
That's the thing. This one
It's
actually
Toji all over again, surviving Evangelion. What were the stakes? If he died, there would be stakes. He didn't, so there weren't.
Yeah, and this show, the only thing they did wrong in this show is they kind of milked the death thing a little too much, because after a while, you know the thing where like a character's dying and they start reflecting on all the memories they have with the main cast?
Yeah.
They did that for almost every death, and it got really boring fast, because fucking Shell, who was only in the first 6 episodes, she was a ditzy airhead who was trying to find purpose in life, and one day she was holding Tatsumi as he was like having a breakdown, and she's like, oh, I have a purpose now, I can help you. And then she died. Cool. Yeah. But then she started doing the flashback thing, like, oh, me and my friends. I'm like, we're 6 episodes in. What the fuck are you gonna flashback to?
We don't know anything about you.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
The one, the dude, his name started with a B, the gay one who wore the night suit. What was it?
Bulat.
Yeah, when Bulat died, he did the same thing.
What was the Incursio? Was his suit?
Incendio and Curcio.
Incursio.
Yeah,
and
no,
then,
Incendio is the skull from Harry Potter. Yeah.
And Tatsumi inherited Incursio from Bulat when Bulat died.
So, and the thing is, when Bulat died, it was the same freaking thing where he gave like the same spiel with the same almost like video game cutscene happening. I'm like, this is only a few episodes later. It's probably only episode 10 at most by that point, and I'm like,
yeah,
you can't keep doing this show. And of course, they did, because
they did for every single character. And then the next episode after that, in most cases, was everybody being sad and like everybody talking about death, and literally the same thing when everybody being like, you know, like that's the life of an assassin, you know, like people just die. And then it just happened every other episode for the rest of the series.
Because like from what I can tell, a lot of people hated the show mainly for the ending or how everyone kept dying, but the show's primarily about death. I mean, yeah. I had the feeling that
Akame Ga Kill.
Exactly.
Kill.
And I could tell that most people are gonna die. Even if I wasn't spoiled, I could figure this out because they make it pretty clear. It's just funny because unfortunately some deaths were way funnier. Like I'm so bad at remembering how to pronounce these names because I could like with Luddock.
Oh, Lubbock.
Okay.
Yeah,
green hair dude.
Yeah.
Like I said, the only thing I enjoyed about him was for his fight scenes. I loved in particular the one scene where he punched a hole through a guy's chest, wrapped the wires around the guy's heart, and exploded his heart. That was sick.
That was really cool.
So I loved watching him fight because I thought it was very creative bits of animation there and just good fight scenes. He fought a guy as they were suspended in midair. He was holding up there like in this cloud with his imperial arm. But after he killed
like the minister, I think that was like the minister's son or something.
Yeah, he was apparently a leader of a much more vicious group in the manga during like they think it was called the Witch Hunt arc.
That would make a lot of sense. I feel like he got a lot of hype, but not a lot of delivery, and didn't really have a lot of screen time to do it.
No.
He did have one scene where like after we met him for the first time, he was like just staying at a hotel or something, and this woman next to him was like, "Oh, what are you doing? What's up? What's out there?" And he's like looking out the window, and he just looks at her, and he literally verbatim is like, "Shut up, whore." I'm like,
yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
What is this?
Excuse me?
What?
It was just
and that's our introduction to his character, and then he's de-introduced 2 episodes later, when Lubbock kills him and then dies in the process.
But Lubbock's death was so funny when he just fell on like the pillar of swords or whatever.
Yep.
And you just have Tatsumi. They're like, no. It's like, Tatsumi, you have to be used to this by this point. You've seen so many of your friends die.
All of your friends have died up to this point.
Yeah.
Like you can't be surprised at this juncture. Yeah. The one that I was really sad. I kind of like Mine's death was really unfortunate. I was like, oh.
That was cool because that was like a kind of a tsundere bittersweet romance done pretty well when she didn't care for Tatsumi at all in the beginning, but they kind of like, again, it was rushed obviously, but you could tell that they started to feel things for each other as the show went on.
Yep. And I think in the manga
it was more of it, from what I understand.
Like there was more of it, and eventually I think comes out in the manga that Mine is in a coma, but she's pregnant with Tatsumi's baby.
Yeah, like Mine's
but Tatsumi is a dragon. So
Sure.
shit gets weird in the manga, is all I'm saying.
Again, it shit gets weird, but it sounds a little compelling, how weird it can be, so that's kind of nice. But anywho, yeah, Mine's death, I did like the way that played out. When
I like that.
when Tatsumi was trying to run her to get treated, and she was like, nope. I always love that. I always love it's like such a cliche, but I love it when the one character's like, I gotta get you well, and the other one's like, ain't gonna work, cowboy.
I'm good, dog. Just
We're
leave
done
me
here.
be, all right?
I've always loved those scenes. I love that plot device. It always made me it pulled them. I don't want to say that too. But I don't want to say made me happy because they're always sad scenes, but it always pulled my heartstrings. And the erections, they come and go,
Yeah.
I'm hot-blooded as
pulled those cock strings,
Oh. There was the one girl at one point who can control any liquid, and it's like, ugh.
Oh boy.
Of course.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, everybody died, and then like the ending. Well, I mean, Akame versus Karame. I once again, like they had that whole episode where they fought each other. Obviously, like Akame won because her sword can kill people when she touches them with it. So.
I kind of zoned out with their fight scene. I'm like, okay, I think I know where this is going.
Because you know why we zoned out? Because we didn't know why they were fighting to the death. It didn't make any fucking sense.
And they were two of the more uninteresting characters, so I didn't really care.
They were very uninteresting. Neither of them had like screen time. Neither of them had a lot of like. I think Karame had more intriguing dialogue than Akame. Karame had a little more backstory.
A little more spice to her, yeah, definitely.
A little more spice, but I don't know. At the end of the day, like their fight didn't matter as much as I think the creators of the show intended it to matter.
And I was way more interested a couple episodes later, like 2 or 3 episodes later, when we got Esdeath and Akame having their final fight.
Yeah, that was a good fight.
Yeah, I liked it a lot. I thought it was very creative. I just kind of also, like, at that point, I was so into Esdeath, and she was clearly distraught over Tatsumi's death earlier.
Yeah, because Tatsumi dies, which I guess you could also see coming.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because everybody else is doing it, right?
Yeah, exactly. He just wanted to fit in at that point.
I'm just surprised that Najinda lived.
I'm not so surprised because she never really put herself in the center of the action.
You're right. She always sent her.
She's more of a background force than anything, honestly.
Yeah, she sent her Imperial arms to do most of the fighting,
most of the dirty work, right? So she's kind of in the background, just chilling. So I wasn't too shocked she survived. I was a little shocked Akame got away, but good on her for surviving. The show's named after her. It's probably in her contract.
Exactly. So I was thinking, her contract must be really good.
Exactly.
I was thinking the same thing. Exactly. I was thinking the same thing because she got the name of the show, and as we touched on in the beginning, she didn't really feel like the main character, but I guess she is.
It's weird because she wasn't the main character, but she was like a central plot point. It was kind of weird, a little jumbled there.
Very weird. Mm-hmm.
But I cared so much more when she actually killed Esdeath. I'm like, no. But then right before Esdeath died, because she has ice powers, in case we didn't mention it.
Oh yeah.
Her whole thing is ice. She grabbed Tatsumi's corpse and froze the two of them together in a big block of ice that then shattered. So they joined each other in death. And I'm like, why is this adorable?
Yeah, that was good. I was like, wow, okay, that's great.
And even Akame is like, wow, she like really loved him. And I'm like, I wish we got more time with this. I really wish we could have explored this more because I'm fascinated by.
Because there was like my favorite episode of the entire series, I think, was when Tatsumi and Esdeath were trapped on that island together randomly. Mm-hmm. They got teleported there, and I was like, this is just great. It was like really cute dialogue the whole time. Yeah. They had some fights. They protected each other. And I don't know. I thought it was really, really great. I enjoyed that a lot.
I kind of wish my only critique would be show more of like an internal struggle with Tatsumi when it comes to Esdeath, because he was so focused on his mission, which I get because he hates the Empire so much. But let's not forget he was like 16 probably.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, like
we're humans, so
if a really hot woman with big boobily gooblies wants to get it on with you. Chances are, if you're a 16-year-old with a pulse, you're probably going to be interested at least like 50% of the time.
Well, that's what I'm saying. How cool would it be if she was actually, tempting him? You know what I mean?
Yeah, right.
I might, honestly, now thinking about it, I think part of the reason why I like that beat so much is because I was imprinting my own ideas on it, and giving the show a little more credit than it probably deserved, because I'm just like, that could have been really compelling if, Tatsumi really did have to fight off her temptation, was actually kind of You could tell he wanted to give in and be like, yeah, it'd be so much easier just to like make love to this woman every day and just survive, you know?
Yeah, just live in the empire forever and just like live off
You
like
know,
her laurels and stuff.
it'd be kind of cool if we got a little more of that like weird of that like push and pull. Especially if he gave in, then it would make their reuniting, like when she realizes he's part of Night Raid, it would have given it so much more weight.
Right. Yes.
And it could have been much, and then and then the whole thing with mine would have been more interesting because now he'll have feelings for two women, and that happens to people. So, God, the show could have been so much better.
I think it could have been so much better. I also want to touch on in the ending sequence, Leonie's death.
Oh yeah.
Who she just kind of died. Like I don't know. She had some injuries, right?
She must have gotten injured, like with
somehow. From like she had a scuffle with the minister Honest.
Yeah, so she probably got injured there, and then
did some shit, and
then just kind of walked.
She just walked in front of a bar after like the war ended, and these two guys were like, "Hey, Leonie, come drink a beer with us." She was like, maybe later, and then she just walks into the alley next to the bar and dies. I was like, whoa, okay. I remember thinking, like, is she dead or is she just sleeping? Like, I know it's probably a lot of work.
But then you see the pool of blood, and you're like, oh, she's just dead.
You're like, yeah, oh, never mind.
It reminded me a lot, actually, of one of my favorite seasons of Super Sentai. When the Black Ranger just got, like, after, like, the show is pretty much done, he just gets stabbed on the way to the Red and Pink Ranger's wedding. He still makes it to the wedding, but then just dies. And I'm just like, you could have gone to the hospital at first.
You didn't have to go to the bar. You could have gone to the hospital.
Exactly. So it reminded me a lot. It's a kind of a trope, but one that never made sense to me.
Yeah.
Unless they have to emphasize, like, okay, I'm going to die no matter what I do. I might as well say goodbye to my friends, you know?
Yeah.
Again,
right.
And make things clear.
Yeah.
But, yeah, so Leonie's death was sad only because I just enjoyed Alison Keith. You know, she was also a little flirty with Tatsumi, and I'm like, God damn, what is with this kid?
Yeah, I don't know why everybody was so into him, to be honest. But
I mean, luckily that's why I appreciated the Esdeath stuff so much because they made it clear why she was into him.
Yes, they made it absolutely clear.
And at one
he
point,
was exactly what she was looking for.
Because he started training more and put on more muscle, and Esdeath noticed, and I'm like,
yes,
I'm pulling for her. I want her and Tatsumi to get a nice condo in the fucking in the capital. They can move out, come back when they need to for business or for pleasure. I want their life. I want that spin-off manga. I want them to be doing dishes. I
wanted that a lot more than I wanted this.
Yeah.
Yes. And I agree with that. But I think we've arrived. We've kind of explained everything.
Everything that matters, yeah.
What was it bad?
Here's the thing. Obviously, I was negative throughout this entire thing, but more so than out of frustration than I would say any hatred, because I do not hate the fact that I watch a show at all. Mm-hmm. I got enough out of the show to say it was worth a watch for me personally. Would I recommend it to someone? If they're already a super weeb, I'd say yeah, go for it. Mm-hmm. But to an outsider or someone who's weeb light, I'd be like, hey, Mike, you could probably skip it, because I think the show's narrowly bad just because of how generic it was for me. That was the biggest thing. And how generic it was and how so many opportunities were wasted and squandered. That was my biggest issue with this series. Those were definitely my biggest two. But I thought it was going to be way worse because people were bringing this in the same breath as Redo and the Healer and fucking Midori.
Too.
And I'm like, this show was nowhere near that bad at all. It wouldn't even come into my head as one of the worst things I've seen. Mm-hmm. I honestly, if I had to guess what it is, I think people really got into the show when it came out and then were really disappointed with the way it turned out. So people went super negative on it. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. The show is kind of clumsy and a little dumb, but it's only kind of bad,
Right.
Like I was debating on it all day between bad and not bad, but by a sliver, the show is bad for me.
Okay.
Yeah, by a sliver, but nowhere near as bad as people are saying. Nowhere near. But still, I think it's worth a skip.
I think that you can skip this show. You do not need to watch it.
Right.
It's rather generic in a lot of ways, but I did talk to you at some point, and I did text you, and you said I'm trying to find like when this show gets like awful.
Yes.
Like when it just turns on you, or when it gets like, redo of Healer-esque, or when it does the last episode of Master of Martial Arts that we just finished.
Oh yeah, you're shaking when you said that right now, just so you know.
I was like, oh, no. God.
You don't want to talk about that one, do you?
No, I don't want to talk about it. But I expected something like that.
Yeah.
And this never gave that to me. And on the contrary, there were some times
I liked
watching this that I was like, I like this show. I unironically kind of liked this show in a lot of ways. I think there were a lot of redeeming qualities to it. I don't exactly think that those redeeming qualities are enough to make it a great or good show.
Yeah.
I'm not saying it's bad. I'm saying it's not bad.
Okay, cool.
I didn't really think it's bad. I didn't think there was enough here for me to go out here and call it like, oh, it's a piece of shit, it's terrible. No, it's like it had some good stuff. I liked some of the characters.
Right.
Some of the episodes I thought were very fun and entertaining, and I think maybe halfway through, I was actually a little bit hooked. So I was like, okay, let's see what happens in the next episode. Let's see what goes on next. Some of the characters were kind of wet blankets. Like I thought Wave was kind of a wet blanket character.
Yeah.
I thought Tatsumi was all right, as we talked about.
Yeah.
I mean, Esdeath is the real highlight for me. I thought she really carried the show and was the best part of it. And every scene with her, I thought was great. If she wasn't in it, if the Jaegers were not a part of the show and it was just focused on Night Raid the whole time,
bad. Yeah.
Wouldn't have been good.
No.
Wouldn't have been good at all.
Yeah, there are definitely redeeming qualities here, but again, for me, like I guess I'm a little. I think I'm a little more offended by genericism than you are. Because
could potentially, yeah.
But yeah, no, that's why. I'm again sliver bad here. I want to like this show because of the cool bits they had, but it just didn't do enough for me. So it looks like we got an old fashioned split decision.
Yeah, we haven't had one in a while. Oh, thank God.
That variety's good.
Needed that. Yeah, what's weird though is that my anime list it has over like 1.2 million ratings, right?
And isn't combined rating, like a 7.5?
Yeah, it's like a 7.5 almost. And like it seems pretty positive.
But then why are so many people on Instagram telling us this is shit?
I think I have a theory.
Okay.
Because I posted another one recently about Akame Ga Kill and how we were going to watch it or something. And some of the comments were like, oh, that's a tough watch. Like, that's a difficult watch. Like, that's it. And I think maybe the meaning of tough watch is like, oh, it was emotionally very difficult to finish this show because these characters kept dying or characters that you like kept dying. I didn't exactly feel that way.
No,
but maybe that was the lens that it was approached in because maybe people got attached to some of these characters. And
yeah, I think there was a lot more positive feedback to the show than we were.
I think so.
Yeah,
I think so. So maybe people do call it bad because it's just consistent deaths or something. I don't know. But
and some people are weenies and can't handle death in their anime.
I guess. I mean, but this I don't think this exactly deserves like a 7.5 rating. But if I was to rate it, like I don't know, like a 6, 5.5, maybe.
I'd say 5
just really didn't offend me at all. Like I thought it was just like pretty fine and good at parts and not so great at parts. And it ended, and I was like, well, that's over.
Yeah, generally speaking, the show was fine, but then again, just like so much of it, like how much of the show was skippable for me, I'm just like, ugh. It felt like so much filler, unfortunately. But I would probably give it somewhere between 5 and 4 for me personally.
Oh, well, there you have it. We got a split decision on Akame Ga Kill, but we watched it. We watched all 24 episodes.
Watched all 24 episodes. There we go.
Look at us.
I did it in 2 days.
Yeah, we did it. You did it in 2 days.
Yeah.
Incredible. We'll do something shorter next.
Can't wait. I think I already know what we're doing.
That's right. See y'all later.
See you later, buddy.
It's bad.
Wow, oh my god, what a rousing podcast of anime conversation. Am I right, my compares? Am I right, my weebdom? Anywho, yeah, you can send us a message if you want. Did you like this podcast? Did you hate this podcast? Do you want to kill me? Do you want to drench me in Calaxosaur blood and watch me drink it? That's fine. Just send us an email at badanimepod@gmail.com or DM us on our Instagram at badanimepod, all one word. You can also find us on YouTube as Bad Anime, and you can leave a comment on whatever video you want to leave a comment on. We'll read them all anyways. We don't care. I love you. Kiss, kiss.
Simple Equations Podcast Network.